I love this space. I love this studio.
Yeah, this is the best studio in the world to me, to be honest with you. The vibe is like none other.
What did you think of LA when you first came here? Because so much of your music is so perfectly suited to this environment, because at night LA is totally different than it is in the day. In the day it's all like beach town and sunny. At night it's crazy low lights and seedy.
It's dark, man. It's like, it's a vibe. And I never thought LA, because I mean, I spoke about Los Angeles in my music, and I had never been. For example, in the morning, Cali is the mission, you know? And to me, that's like a fantasy world, you know? California is like, you made it if you go to California.
Was it what you had imagined it to be when you were writing about it?
No. No, because the first time I came to LA was, we stayed in Burbank.
No disrespect to the good people of Burbank,
I love
but
Burbank.
It's not really...
But that wasn't like the Hollywood vibe and everything. And then I came to Hollywood, and I was disappointed about that because, you know, it's not like Hollywood was portrayed on TV.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume that Hollywood was lit back in the day, but right now it's more about like Beverly Hills and West Hollywood.
That's kind of where your writing pivoted to as well. Like all of a sudden it went from, I mean, apart from The Hills is an obvious exception, but you know, it feels like you started to uncover a seedier kind of dark side of wealth as well. Like that seems to sort of inspire you too.
Yeah, because I mean, the trilogy was more like wealth was the motive.
Yeah.
And then, you know, after Kissland, it was like, we finally have the wealth and, you know, we're enjoying it. And then, I mean, of course, everybody wants to be rich, but it comes with its negative as well.
Did it take you a while to adjust to having money?
No, because I don't really splurge. I just really started like buying expensive stuff now.
What are you spending your money on now?
I mean, like I bought, you know, these cars.
What's the thing about cars?
Like it's just this new thing that I'm on, you know, and I've always been into cars, but...
Like my 10-year-old loves cars. I have no interest in cars at all.
I had no interest in cars either, but recently I've been really interested in like McLaren. Of course, Ferrari, Lamborghini, but McLaren really grabbed my attention.
Just a few old dungers lying around in the garage, man.
Just chilling.
You see my McLaren? Yes.
No, I make it an event. I'm not like, oh shit, this is nothing. I'm like, you want to see my brand new car? It's like, but no, I mean, the McLaren it's beautiful. I put in the Starboy video. I don't know, it inspired, you know, that song, and I think it's a great representation of where I'm at. But when you listen to the album, I mean, it's just track one.
Starboy, man, what a great start. You know, working with Daft Punk, that's a headline in itself, incredible. I want to talk about that for sure, if that's cool. But the one thing that really kind of struck me was that Starboy came out and I was like, all right, he's created an alter ego. This is a character. This is something that's going to help tell the Weeknd story for the next phase. You know, who is this Starboy? Like, what is the character? What makes up the character?
Starboy is the next chapter in this chronicle, this saga. My fans call it, you know, they call it in chapters.
Yeah.
So I guess this is the fourth chapter. He's just, you know, he's a character that we kind of created, you know, and it's so funny. We wanted to make a comic book strip out of him as well.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
You still gonna do that?
Yeah. It's just like, you know, it's tough, man. We want to partner up with like something, you know, respected, like a Marvel or like DC or something. I don't want to just put out a comic.
Yeah.
I want to make it an event.
Have you had meetings and stuff? Are you having conversations?
No, we're in the brainstorming aspect. We're actually just creating the story. But you know, he's a cool, dope character that you know, makes an appearance a lot on the album, and you'll hear. I mean, he's definitely made his appearance in different records in the past as well. More like braggadocious kind of character that we all kind of have inside of us.
So this is your way of being able to express yourself with success?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I wondered that because, you know, following on from, I mean, Beauty Behind the Madness was such a monstrous album. I mean, it's an incredible record and every song's a smash and it's just one of those real magic moments, like you just caught a wave and you wrote it, you know. And I wondered, like, going back in the studio so soon after that, whether or not Starboy gave you this space and this freedom to continue to create without thinking about beauty. Gave you a clean slate in some respects.
I mean, Beauty was just last year, so I'm kind of off the fumes of that as well. You know, I was supposed to tour in the summertime, and I just had so much left from beauty.
Creative energy.
Creative energy, and I wanted to just put it on wax and just really, it just felt like, it felt important for me to cancel everything and get this out of my head.
Yeah, and that's not, you can't take a decision like that lightly.
No, well, I lost money.
Yeah.
You know, the Rihanna, you know, I mean, we're still friends, of course, but it's just like, we lost a lot of money, and it comes down to like what's more important, you know? And that's why I'm doing Europe first on the tour. It's like
To make good.
Yeah, to make good. You know, I love my fans out there, and I want to make sure that I get to touch all of them. But yeah, I mean, I had to do this.
You know, it's funny.
And of course, working with Daft Punk definitely inspired me to just be like, okay, you know what, this, and let's get to work.
You know, I've spoken to Jimmy, you know, my boss, about this, and he's often
Jimmy's my guy.
Jimmy's amazing, and he's often talked about how touring, for all of the positive things that come from it, the connectability to fans, how, you know, the way the music industry is set up these days, that there's so much more incentive for artists to stay on the road for longer because it makes financial sense, but it can really stem the creative it can stop the creative process.
100%, and it's true. But what I try to do is I always try to make, I always try to bring my team with me on tour.
Yeah.
I can never finish records on tour, but I can definitely write and create. And with the budget now that we have and all the money we've been making, we can start paying everybody to live on the road with me, and hopefully, you know, create something soon. You know?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take a break anytime soon.
Clearly, bro, you're back with a new album. I mean, like literally a year pretty much after you released your breakout record. I mean, obviously you were already playing arenas and successful, but I mean, I think it's safe to say that Beauty Behind the Madness was another level altogether.
100%. And I'm proud of that record, and everybody's proud of it, you know. My team is super proud, the label is super proud. I mean, seeing, you know, somebody so close to them succeed, you know, on their own terms, on like my terms, and making a record like The Hills and it being like arguably my biggest record, you know?
Which is
next
just
to Can't Feel My Face.
Such an uncompromising number one.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a game changer, that song.
I think so too.
Now, a lot of people are taking risks with their singles or with songs that are representing records. They don't feel like they have to bury those ones.
And you know, I do as well. Starboy to me is still a risk. I mean, you know, pop is you know, what's popular, what's hot right now. You got to make pop. You know, you got to make pop cool, and that's what, you know, I try to do with Starboy and with Beauty Behind the Madness and all my other records in the future.
And it's so appropriate that you're going to make a record like Starboy with Daft Punk. I mean, the robots from outer space.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, you know, I think Thomas and Guy, as a duo, they share a lot of very similar traits to you, not just in terms of the quality of music and the fact that they keep moving it forward, but also they're very reticent.
Yeah.
They're very, you know, they're shy. They stay in the
This is my
shadows.
first
It's crazy.
interview.
Can we just like address the elephant in the room for a second? Because we just sat down and started talking like we always do. Like it really didn't even feel like cameras are on. But
Yeah, well, because you are, you know, we're really close. Zane opened up for me at one point in my career, which is really cool.
Yeah, it was a great tour. It was me and Banks and you, and we were playing arenas in the UK and Europe, and it was just after Kissland, and it was a crazy magical time. And I remember in that tour, it felt like you felt like a bit of a boxer to me at that moment, because the trilogy had come out and perfectly tied up those first 3 mixtapes, right? Those first 3 albums.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, cool, what's the next record gonna feel like? And I think that record is deep and layered and claustrophobic at times, and really quite an uncompromising record from you in the grand scheme.
Trilogy?
Yeah, no, Kissland, yeah.
Yeah, the thing about Kissland is that Kissland, you know, I think people expected Beauty Behind the Madness after Trilogy.
Yeah,
because it's like he signed this label. He's like, you know, gonna be this you know, commercial artist, and I kind of gave him the curveball. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna give you an extension of Trilogy, and kind of let the world know that I'm still doing this as well. And it was a claustrophobic body of work, and very personal, very like lyrical.
yeah.
And it was one of those records where, you know, I spent a lot of time writing it, as opposed to, you know, creating it, you know, and it was important, and you know, it's crazy. We still sold. My fans are so dope. I mean, we still sold out the O2 Arena. You know, it was
straight to arenas, hundreds of thousands of records sold, number 2 in America, you know, top 10 all around the world for a record that I think, you know, it kind of caught a lot of people off guard.
I think it was I mean, people who came to the show really understood the album more. It was a very theater type record where it was about the theme and the brand and the visuals, and in this kind of universe that I created.
Which you do every time.
Which I do every time, but that one was an actual universe, you know, and it's you know, arguably, you know, amongst my fans, you know, their favorite record, which bewilders me, you know. It's like crazy because of how, you know, less of a reaction I got from it.
Because I think there's layers in it, right? Like Beauty Behind the Madness is an amazing out-and-out pop record, right?
Yeah.
Perfectly crafted, great collaborators, great results. So you put that on, it's gonna be a great listen all the way
Easy
through,
listen, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then you go to Kissland, and I still am discovering shit on that record.
There's a lot of layers.
There's a lot of layers, and I think that those are the records that we connect to.
That is the only record I see myself doing a sequel to.
Straight back in, like I said, to make this new record, right, Starboy. You know, and let's get back to Daft Punk, because, like I was saying before, you know, those two guys, they do very little outside of their music and their art. They don't really engage with the outside world willingly. You know what I mean? They keep it very close in. They understand the importance of the curtain.
Yeah.
How did you team up with them? How does collaboration come to be?
Well, Guy-Man is actually, we've known each other before we actually worked with each other.
Yeah.
We have mutual friends, Kavinsky, Gesalfestein, just like that French wave world that I kind of, you know, got into. I even got into it in Kissland, to be honest, for Odd Look. Was a Kavinsky record.
That's right.
So, you know, me and Guy-Man, you know, we've been to clubs together, we party together. So there's been a little bit of a relationship there. It wasn't just a random email like, hey, you want to work with us?
Yeah.
So we were already comfortable to work with each other. Yeah, it just came, I mean, these guys are like, you know, our idols and idols to, you know, most artists. Their branding.
Second to none, really. I mean, it's just unreal.
No, it's unbelievable, you know. And I was definitely inspired by that at the beginning of my career because nobody knew how I looked as well. It was because of, you know, Daft Punk and a lot of artists that like to be enigmatic and mysterious. And fans didn't really see how I looked until my first show. So being able to work with them, it felt like a bucket list. So I really wanted to fight for that. And then we got into the studio, and you know what it is, man. You get into the studio with artists, it's either gonna be amazing or it's just like, you know, let's just stay friends.
It's like, when's the clock?
Yeah, it's just like, let's stay friends. And we literally did Starboy, and I feel like coming in like 2-3 days.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So how did you guys work together? I mean, did they kind of bring your musical ideas in, and then you were
No, so I came in, we went to Paris. I came into the session, and Thomas and Guy-Man had already started a track, which was I Feel It Coming, which was just the music. And it was one of the tracks that they were playing for me. And I was, you know, freestyling over and trying to find a vibe with it. So we were writing it. I was writing the lyrics to I Feel It Coming, and then probably finished it in about an hour. Went into the studio, went into the booth, started recording it. You know, Guy-Man and Thomas were kind of directing me on, like, you know, how to make it, because they want it to sound as authentic as possible, as retro as possible. And while I'm recording the record, through the talkback, I can hear some sort of feedback, some sort of drum loop. Every time, you know, Thomas is like, okay, next take. So I'm like, what the is that? What is that sound?
Yeah. So
I walk in, and it's Guy-Man on his phone or on his laptop or something, and it's the drums of Star, which is like, I'm like, what is that? He's like, no, it's just something on my phone. I'm like, put that shit on the fucking speakers. Let me hear that. And it's just this crazy, monstrous loop. So I Feel Like Coming to the side. I'm like, I'm writing this. Literally wrote.
Straight away.
Starboy.
How do you feel when you get
minutes.
that, because you've probably had this before, when that energy hits you, when you get struck by inspiration?
It's like Can't Feel My Face. It was the fastest song I had written on Beauty Behind the Madness. It was one of the last records. It almost didn't make the record, you know? Wrote that in about maybe 40 minutes, recorded it, ended up being, you know, probably my biggest record ever.
Yeah.
So with Starboy, I didn't think it'd be a single. I thought it was me just being like Starboy.
Did it feel like an album opener though to you?
No.
Wow.
It didn't even feel like an album record. It just felt like a dope vibe.
Yeah.
So I brought it back to Toronto and I played it for the team, and they're like, they lost their fucking mind. And through a voice note, because I don't like sending any records.
Yeah.
So I had it on a voice note and I played it on the speakers, and everybody's like, yeah, this is the next single.
That's crazy. Does it always surprise you when people do that? Because I mean, you had so much success and have made fans of us by, like you say, putting out records that don't, up until really Can't Feel My Face, you wouldn't consider to be a classic pop format. So does it surprise you as much as anybody else when things like that catch with people?
Yeah, Can't Feel My Face definitely made me nervous because it was such it was so separate from what I'm used to.
It's a huge, defiant pop record.
It is. It was a risk. But, doing songs like Earned It and Love Me Harder definitely, I think Love Me Harder was even more nervous.
Yeah.
So doing that, I was kind of sending a message and kind of easing into Can't Feel My Face.
Because you obviously care about what your fans think.
Of course.
And not every artist does. Like, I mean, I've talked to so many artists throughout my life that have said, I respect the fans and I'm grateful for all the support I get, but I don't worry about what they think. But I always get the feeling.
I do, and that's why I made The Hills, because it's like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. Luckily my fans loved it, Can't Feel My Face, but it was more like, you know what, let me try to do something different and see if it sticks. But, let me just put this here for you as well. And again, like Starboy, The Hills, it was supposed to be a SoundCloud record. It was supposed to be like, and of course, Republic is like, there's no way you're gonna put out a free song. I'm like, this is a throwaway record. And then Monty heard the record, he's like, cause he loves that shit. He loves the Weeknd. He loves it, yeah. And he's like, he looks at me, he goes, this might be your biggest record of all time.
Oh, dude, that is vision. It's a fucking hard record, hard.
Yeah, $1 Million Man on the drums, Alangelo on the soundscape. It was a great. It was actually a great mainstream record because it was a club banger as well. Even though it was dark and vibey, the tempo was dope and the beat knock in the club. I didn't even realize how hard it knocked in the club until I went to the club and heard it.
You talk about Alangelo, and I mean, obviously, like, you've worked with him, then not worked with him, then worked with him, and is he on this new record?
No, he's not on this one.
Wow.
But yeah, Alangelo is like, that's my brother, and I always like him to like venture out and do as much. Same with Doc, same with everybody I've worked with. I'm always like this. I'm like, let's go,
So who was on this record apart from Daft Punk?
Doc McKinney, of course. Ben Billions, who I've become very close with. He worked on Often on the last record, Acquainted. Pretty much, the thing about my albums is it's very collaborative. It's not like we're going and bringing random people in.
There's no speed date production going on.
No, I mean, I got Max Martin and Doc McKinney working together. it's just like a very big melting pot of...
Is Max on this record again?
Yeah, of course. Unlike Alangelo, I worked with him forever. Same with Doc. Max, we just started working. And I think we're still building that relationship and the potential that we can reach.
Oh, dude, you went straight to the top. I mean, if you're going to go ahead and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to make a pop record now and I'm going to start with Max Martin, shall we? I mean, the guy doesn't open the door for anybody. I mean, I've heard stories, and maybe you can clarify some of this, but I've heard stories that if you're a pop star or you're a musician or a singer or whatever, and you want to work with Max Martin, then you got to kind of like put the hours in. He doesn't just open the door for you.
With us, it was very collaborative, which, usually it's Max Martin. It's like, you walk in and you're doing a Max Martin, right? I mean, unless you're Taylor Swift, of course, or Katy Perry, which, they're such monsters, it's very collaborative. To Max, or to anybody, if you're a mainstream listener, The Weeknd is a new artist. He's not a Taylor Swift or a Katy Perry. So the fact that he believed and respected me enough to let me do what I do in the studio with him and question him and him question me and us going back to back and, bashing heads and really, really like getting dirty with it is very, it makes me very proud, and I feel like we made some magic with Can't Feel My Face, In the Night, Shameless, and this record as well. I mean, again, we're trying to push the pop culture a little bit with it.
You said something really cool about Lana Del Rey. I read, I think it might have been in a Pitchfork article last year, and you talked about Lana Del Rey and how you sort of feel that she is the female protagonist in your songwriting.
It feels that way because, you know, I discovered Lana like a lot of us online with her videos, and I was making my music, and it felt like her lyrics and my lyrics were kind of talking to each other sometimes.
Yeah.
And when I told her that, she's like, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's dope.
It's like you guys have been having a conversation with each other without realizing it.
You know, she's probably one of my closest friends in the industry, and we've known each other way before Prisoner. Actually, ever since, you know, we posted, I had this Tumblr, I'd like always post some stuff, and we posted her stuff, and ever since then we kind of connected and became friends and really watched each other's careers kind of shine from the sidelines. It wasn't until Prisoner that we kind of connected and realized this sounds really good. Because like Daft Punk, she doesn't do many records with people at all.
Nope.
So, you know, I felt really proud about that. And on this record, we have another cool song that feels seamless, it feels right, you know? And it proves the point that we do sound really good with each other.
Oh, there's great chemistry between the two of you, and I mean, like, I hear what you're saying about, like, you know, you guys come from a very similar background, or similar sort of influences. Is very noirish, almost David Lynchian, and there's cinematic feels to it. There's a darkness very much in her music too. You know, in terms of collaborations on this record, it's not just her. Kendrick's on this record.
Kendrick's on it, yep. And it's so crazy. I did not want to put that track list out, you know?
Why?
Because I'm putting out a little visual piece that I'll play for you later. And, you know, I really wanted people to just hear it for the first time.
Rather than have me bowl on in and ask you 10 questions about working with Kendrick Lamar.
Well, I mean, I don't mind that, you know? It's just more like the experience, you know?
Yeah.
When you listen to an album and, you know, you listen to it and you're like, wait, who is that? Is that, you know, that's a great feeling.
Yeah.
But we had to put out the CDs, and
it was going to leak anyway.
It was going to leak. It's like, I might as well put it out.
So when you are working on a song, what's the song with Kendrick called?
Sidewalks.
Right. So when you're working on that, have you got him in your mind? Do you see a part for him straight away?
100%.
Yeah. Okay. How's the experience working with him?
He's a genius. He is really a genius.
He came here because I know you locked this whole place down. For
everybody that worked on the album came here.
So he rolled in here.
This is like our universe, and I'm not gonna send records. It's not like we sit here, we create it together.
So what? So let's paint the picture. I mean, what time of day was it? Like, what was the vibe?
He came, I mean, I don't know exactly what time of the day, but he probably came, you know, in the afternoon and left late at night. He did it there on the spot. You know, he'd walk around. You know, he'd play the record over and over again. I played him songs. The Starboy theme, of course, which he incorporated into his verse, and he would just walk around, you know, we had food, he's writing his verse in his head. He'd go into his phone, look at it you know, and then put it back in, start walking around. He then, at one point, went into the studio booth and, like, closed the door, and, like, I can hear him, like, yelling his verse in his head.
Just committing it.
He's just really committing it. You could tell he put his all into it. It wasn't just a random Kendrick Lamar verse. It was something special because, again, you know, I don't like to say this all the time, but he, as well, we've known each other for a while. And it's crazy how we just started connecting on this record. Same with Lana. But he killed it, man. He really killed it. He laid it down, recorded it like 4 or 5 times. He sat here with my guys, with Doc, and, you know, he edited his vocals, and that was it. That was the record.
Back in his car, haha, see you later.
Back into the car, back to the crib.
You talk about life with him. I mean, you guys have just had such a remarkable roller coaster. You could probably share that experience in some respects because both of you have seen, you know, your fortunes change and reach a tipping point in the last 18 months.
Yeah.
He's now a bona fide festival headliner. You know, Grammy winner.
And I respect the route he went with that record.
Yeah.
Because he could have went and did Good Kid, Mad City too. It's so crazy because Scott Venner is a good friend of mine as well. He had actually told me he heard the record before it came out. So I kind of expected what I was about to get. But seeing the world really react to it was really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. It's a really, I mean, that's such a brave, far-reaching, honest, open record, and really kind of, I think, kicked the door open for people to feel comfortable, or at least suitably uncomfortable, to tell the truth of what they see outside the window as well. You know?
100%.
He
does it so well too. I wish I could do what he does.
Oh man, you do good on your own, man. It's like, you know.
But I mean, even like topics and like everything that he puts into his music.
You do? Sometimes you do feel like you wish you could have a voice in that game?
And I think you kind of, you gotta like sit down and work on it, you know? It's really easy to sound tacky and forced.
Yeah.
When it's that type of record. Like,
but if the inspiration strikes you and you feel the need to say something and contribute your opinion within your art, not just behind closed doors, you're not going to get in the way of it. You're not going to stop.
Sometimes you can hear it in my voice. Sometimes it screams like in false alarm and whatnot. It could be that, you know. But I mean, I respect him. You know, Michael did it later in his career. Black and White.
Man in the Mirror.
Man in the Mirror. They don't care about us.
Song.
They don't care about us, you know, which was probably the most controversial one. So
there's room to grow.
Definitely. I mean, I still feel like this is my first record, always.
Future.
Yep, that's the homie.
Whew.
Yeah.
So that's the three. Lana,
Yep.
Kendrick, Future.
Yeah.
Why Future?
And then there's like there's some, you know, some guest vocals that nobody knows who they are, but I like to kind of put them on there, and like for example, like Angel, Maddie Noyes.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who she was, and now she's kind of getting her career going, but her voice was outstanding, and it was cool to put her on the record.
Yeah.
But same with a couple other people on this record too, so it's interesting to see how that works. But Future, he's that's the bro. Been a fan of Future since I was making House of Balloons.
He's another one who's been supremely influential before he reached his own level of success.
He's a pop star. I mean, no matter however you want to look at it, he is pop, you know? Everybody goes into the studio, and, you know, if you're a singer, you could be a pop singer or whatever, and you're somehow inspired by the way he makes his music.
His work ethic is out of control.
Unbelievable. And even the verse he did on All I Know, it was on the spot. Again, but it's the vibe, you know? The vibe is great here. It inspires anybody to really kind of start and finish here. When
you're writing your lyrics, and you talk about Lana and how you two sort of have this kind of creative relationship through your music. But when you're writing songs, like, do you write sometimes as a character, or do you write with people in mind? Do you write almost like it's like you're kind of sort of doing a screenplay in some respects? How do you kind of get yourself into a frame where you can be so detail-driven and so descriptive?
Of course, a lot of it is a character.
Yeah.
A lot of people's music are. But I mean, a lot of it is real-life experience. I mean, I felt like I've experienced enough before my career started, at that point, 21 years of living, when I say this a lot, I have enough experience to write the rest of my catalog, I feel. And continue whatever story that is that I'm telling. But it's cool because now, I mean, in the past 4 years, I've been grabbing some new inspiration, and sometimes I put that into the music. But there's always that nostalgia of that old Weeknd that likes to come in and make an appearance.
You know, there's a lot. I mean, it's been well documented in reviews and stuff. I mean, the subject matter in your music, there's so much. Like I said before, there's a claustrophobia, and it's like dark, and it's guilt-ridden, and it's like I can't stop taking drugs, and it's bad for me, but I need to do it. And you know, who is that guy? Because every time I've met you, and I mean, I know you like to go hard as well as work hard, but every time I met you, you seem very super steady of hand. So who is that person in those songs? You know,
I'm a chill person. You know, that guy it is who I am, you know, and but it is who I am to myself and in my writing. Sometimes you take him and then you create more, and then it becomes this beast, and you kind of just add more to him, and then, you know, then it's just uncontrollable. He's his own character. and it just sounds good. He sounds good, you know, and it's like Scarface. It's like the villain. It's like, it's horrible, but you can't stop looking at it. And my fans love it. People love it.
Man, you know, your female fans
love it. It's crazy.
Love it. and yet, and I'm not trying to sound old-fashioned here, but it's just an observational question, you know, no judgment.
Of course.
But why is it that you think your music is so popular with women when the subject matter is so raw?
I think women love raw. I mean, look at 50 Shades of Grey. How did that blow up? It's the darkness. I guess that's why they hit me up to work on it, because that's what the music is. It's raw, it's dark, and it's good to have darkness, because when the light comes, it feels that much better, I feel. That's why a lot of the music, when you listen to my albums, it starts off very dark, and then it gets dark, 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 and then when it gits to the peak, it's the darkest it could ever get. But then when you get to the end of the record, when you feel that light, it feels that much better. And I always like to do that. Same with this record. Starboy starts, Feel It Coming ends, and it's just a roller coaster ride.
Do you ever feel yourself slipping that way?
Yeah, but I have a good team.
They pull you back?
Yeah, always. It's good to have a good team, especially a team that you grew up with.
When was it at its
I feel like everybody kind of loses who they are when they start cutting the people that made them who they are.
Did it ever get close to you? Did you ever feel like you were going too far, you couldn't come back? Like, when was it darkest and hardest for you to handle?
Not recently. This was maybe the beginning of the career. But when it comes down to performing and being that person, you need to have that, you need to be strict. I'm not up there lip syncing, you know? I don't got backup dancers, I don't have crazy shit going on. It's all about me and the microphone. And I used to go on stage drunk.
To get through it?
Yeah, nerves.
So you suffered as a kid, like with anxiety and things like that?
Yeah, I'm anxious right now. Like fidgeting and shit.
Come on, man, I got you.
I'm still fucking with you. No, I mean, you know, I would drink a bottle of Hennessy on stage in my first shows. Coachella, the first show ever, I was drunk.
In the afternoon?
Just to kind of like...
Take the edge off?
Yeah, take the edge off. And it wasn't until my first Coachella show that I actually watched it and saw how I performed and hated my performances. Because I'd done maybe 4 shows before that.
What didn't you like about him?
He wasn't a star. So yeah, you know, I watched the performance and I knew that I instantly hit on my agent at that time, Joel Zimmerman. You need to book me 100 shows. And after that Coachella festival, I was performing nonstop, sober. And I learned how to perform on my own.
Can you have a drink now before you go on stage?
No.
The amount of musicians and artists I've met who suffer from anxiety in their own way, social anxiety, and yet find themselves on stage in front of tens of thousands of people every night. How is that? I mean, what's up with that?
You have to fight the nerves, man. You know, you have to.
Do you think they feed each other? Like, in a way, it's kind of it's a part of the DNA of being a performer, is that you have to have come from that place or have that within you in some respect.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're singing to people, you know? It's an emotional thing.
Yeah.
You're not normal if you sing to people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not a normal person.
Yeah.
So it's nerve-wracking. It's, you know, you're literally putting yourself out to hundreds and thousands of people. And yeah, if you ever see like young artists and they're not sounding good, they sound good. They're good singers. They wouldn't be where they are if they didn't sound good. It's their nerves, you know? And anytime you see, you know, your favorite artist and he's or she's screwing up or not hitting those notes, it's not because she can't hit it or she can't sing. She's fucking, or he's scared. And you have to fight that. And that's something that I had to do. And once I did, I mean, I feel like people are more nervous to see me than I am to see them, you know? I love performing.
What's it like when you meet fans and you know that, I mean, you've created this character, you're the Weeknd to them, and it's intimidating to people?
I mean, it feels great. You know what I mean? It's good, like you're seeing your favorite artist. You want to feel that way.
Yeah.
You don't want to meet your artist and it's like, your favorite artist and it's like...
A normal experience.
Yeah, you know, you want to, it's the rush, you know? And then you find out that like, I'm cool, you know, and that feels even better.
Who was that for you? I mean, you know, Michael Jackson was obviously the hero.
Nobody. Prince was the only one.
Prince. Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, I met him that day I won the award. And he gave me the AMA. That was his last TV appearance. I met him there, and you know we connected there, and you know I wanted to go. We were supposed to I was supposed to go to Minneapolis, and just hang out and you know go to the studio, and you know the news happened, and that was it.
Close.
It was close.
It was close.
You know, very close. And you know, you read about Prince, you know about Prince, you know, nothing probably would have happened. The fact that I would have been in the studio with him just to have a conversation would have been that moment that you're talking about. You
know, do you believe in all things for a reason? I mean, if you'd be able to meet him and then for that to have occurred, obviously it's a tragedy, but are you a believer in manifest destiny and the visualization of fortune and success?
Yeah, no, I do. Before I didn't, of course.
What was the tipping point for you? When did that start to become a truth?
When things started happening for me.
Yeah,
you know?
And you could trace the beginning through to that point.
And as soon as it started happening, I felt like there was definitely a higher being.
Are you a religious person?
I'm there.
Spiritual?
I'm there. I'm definitely spiritual now. I wasn't a full-out atheist. A lot of people respected the atheists, you know, but a lot of people I feel like become that because, you know, life's you know, and it's like there's no way there's a God and this is happening.
Equally, a lot of people turn to religion because life's and they search for a higher purpose and for
but I was a pessimist, you know.
Yeah.
Very pessimistic.
Were you like that as a kid?
Yeah.
Where do you think that comes from?
I have no idea. I mean, I had no brothers or sisters. I wanted a dog. I had allergies. You know what I mean? It's like
so it all just felt just felt hard.
It just felt like life was.
It just felt hard. It's like I can't even get a fucking dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. It's like an episode of Malcolm in the Middle.
There's no God. But you know what I mean? I don't know how I became like. I don't know anybody really becomes like that. But you know when great things started happening, it's like there's always felt like you had to go through. It's like a test. You had to go through all this.
I think
it kind of built humility, like almost. So when I started getting everything, it's like I remember who I was before. And if a lot of people, when they get like that, they're not humble. And because they don't know what it feels like to be there and to not want to go back there, you know, because their back there is still rich and famous, you know? So I think it's a test. It's always a test. You know, when you want to start when you start that low and then you get somewhere big, it's like a blueprint. It's a game plan.
Was it one of the most exciting moments in your journey to date when your first music went up online because that was such a new thing at the time? When you think back to that moment when you started seeing people showing interest and it was so pure and it wasn't somebody helping to manufacture it for you, market or promote it, it was so direct.
It made the music better, I feel. The music was good, but it made the music that much better because you had to find it almost, you know? It wasn't in your face. You don't know how I looked. You don't know if it was a band. Mystery makes everything sound better, I feel.
I mean, how do your family, obviously you're still close with your family and you still, I can imagine. And that's
closer now, of course.
Yeah.
You need family.
Yeah. And they see you be successful and they see you do it on the edge of things. This isn't, with the greatest of respect, this isn't pop music like your contemporaries are making. You know, you're pushing things, your videos. It's
rock and roll, you know?
It's rock and roll, you're a rock star. And, you know, you're making videos that are f***ing hardcore. I mean, you're killing yourself in one of them. Another one is like...
Oh, yeah, my mom hates that.
I wondered about that, right?
Yeah, of course. But, I mean, you gotta understand, like, she's just happy that I'm doing something that I love. You know, it was, you know, there was a point where, you know, dropping out of school and, you know, getting into fights and, you know, not being home forever because I left home. You know, there's much scarier and more heartbreaking things you could do to your parents. You know, she's just happy I'm not dead or in jail at this point, you know? And it's just like the fact that I get to make music and make hundreds and thousands and millions of people happy, you know, make her proud and my family proud, and, you know, really make a name for, really represent, you know, where I come from and the culture that I'm from, because there aren't many Ethiopian artists, like American, Canadian pop artists.
And the Canadian side is important. And, you know, Toronto has just been going through such an incredible time.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I mean, just the transformation on the world stage in terms of the kind of art and music that comes out.
Of course.
You were right there. 2 logos, man. EXO over yo.
Yeah.
Bam. I mean, fans like us look at that time as pivotal. You know, you guys have been complimentary of late with each other, and I know I spoke to Drake when I was in Toronto around Views, and he had nothing but lovely things to say about you. He was obviously stoked for your success. But there's always been this kind of like, it seems to me for fans, we look at it like there's a little bit of a competitive edge going on there. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, he's like, you know, he came in as, you know, my big bro and, you know, showed the world, you know, what I could do. And then, you know, from then on, it's been like, he's always been supporting me, and, you know, I've always been, you know, supporting him. And behind the scenes, we're still like very close, you know? But it's cool that the world can see us kind of doing our own thing. OVOXO is, you know, it'll always be there.
But it's not there right now. You know, it's not.
It is.
It is to you guys, but
no, what I mean is it is. It will. It's. I mean, it's cool to have both monsters work together, you know.
And you can see a
as
time when
opposed to like one monster and one like little guy coming in. It's like dope where, like Kanye and Jay-Z. It's like when that happened.
Can it happen?
Of course.
Do you think it'll happen?
Maybe. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, right.
Right?
He's the homie. At the end of the day, that's my guy. Oliver, 40.
Yeah.
All of Toronto, outside of Toronto. You know, there wouldn't be any new artists from there if it wasn't for Drake making Toronto cool. Because it wasn't cool. Let's be honest. Canada wasn't ever cool. It's still like crazy to me right now seeing how everybody's like, "You're from Toronto, that's amazing." It's like, really? That shit was like not cool a while ago.
Still home? Obviously home, but is it where you live?
I have a place there, yeah. Yeah. I've been spending a lot of time here. I think New York is the next purchase. You know, I really just might make the next album there. It's gonna be super New York inspired.
In terms of your, you know, future as a human being, do you see yourself as a, you know, family man one day? Do you see yourself settling down and having that experience? Because you obviously were brought up in a family environment that you know, was important to you.
Yeah, for sure. But I'd have to retire.
You don't feel you could do the same at the same time?
No, impossible.
Through that?
No, it's impossible. And I mean, unless I was an artist that didn't tour, or that didn't put my all into it, which I can't see myself being that, you know?
This feels like you have a lot more to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't see myself getting married anytime soon. What's the age to get married anyway? Like, what's like the...
When you fall in love. When you can't, you know, when you can't live without somebody. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
No, but sometimes, you know, when you have work, you know...
That balance is tough.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, and you're a workaholic, right?
Yeah.
You have to work.
Yeah, we're doing an interview in the studio right now.
That's right. Exactly, we're not on holiday.
Yeah, we're still, you know... The album's done, but it's still not done. Like, the label literally has to pull it from my hands.
Has this plan worked out the way... We talked about planning right at the beginning. And we talked about the 3 albums that became Trilogy. Is this how you saw it going?
I kind of saw it going like this around Kissland, not House of Balloons. I didn't think I'd make so much music when I was making House of Balloons, because I spent my entire life making House of Balloons, if you think about it. You know?
21 years or 20 years or whatever,
You always spend the rest of your life making your first record. But not when I was making it, no. Not when I was making it.
So one last question before, because I want to listen to some music. One last question. The big question. Did you keep the hair? Did you keep it?
Yeah.
Did you keep it?
Yeah, I did keep it.
You did keep it?
Yeah. It's in Cash's safe right now. Yeah.
Did you just wake up one morning and just go, F it?
The vision wasn't there anymore, you know?
Yeah.
It was there, and then, you know, just like the music, it was getting really sad.
How'd you feel when you cut it off?
Oh man, it's the greatest feeling of all time. It was so good.
Because it was heavy,
sleep,
right?
I could sleep better, you know, I felt lighter, you know, when I perform better, you know, I feel better, you know, it's cool. The best part about all of it is I get to wear hats again.
Yeah.
Just wear a cap, you walk into a restaurant, you know, nobody knows it's you. It's the greatest feeling.
Yeah. Man, I've had so much fun hanging out with you, man.
Thank you,
You've been so honest and cool with me and really, really enjoyed kicking it with you here at Conway. And it's funny, it doesn't surprise me the album was finished a week ago. I feel like I can still hear it.
Yeah.
Must be a bit melancholic in a weird way, you know?
It's kind of like Will Smith at the end of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He came back to the house and everything was gone. That's kind of the feeling I got.
Is that the reference? Is that how this is going to end?
Yeah.
If you never do another TV interview again in your life, your final reference is Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yes, it is.
Let's end it like that.
Sorry, Will. Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was really great, man.